Back to Xbox. I'm pulling a Kotaku article from Kenneth Shepard. Indiana Jones, Starfield, PS5 reports suggest a major Xbox pivot. A number of leaks happened over the weekend that seemed to have big implications for Microsoft's Xbox plans moving forward. Reports from The Verge and Xbox Era claim that two major Bethesda releases, Indiana Jones and The Great Circle and Starfield, could both come to PlayStation 5, adding to the pile of Xbox multiplayer rumors that have been piling up over the past few months. It is worth noting we did talk about it when Hi-Fi Rush was being talked about and Sea of Thieves was being talked about. I believe all just rumors of it possibly coming to PlayStation 5 at some point in the near future. This was then ducktailed by a report from Video Game Chronicles. Microsoft is reportedly considering bringing Gears of War to PlayStation. This is a VGC article from, where's the byline? Tom Ivan. Microsoft is reporting considering bringing Gears of War franchise to PlayStation. That's according to Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb, who was elaborating on recent claims that Microsoft is working on a new initiative to release more Xbox-exclusive games on other console platforms. Over the weekend, it was... we're talking about the Hi-Fi Rush and the Sea of Thieves things. And then finally, it was a whole big hubbub, Connor. Everybody was crying about it. Everybody was screaming, oh no, death to Xbox. It's all over. Pack it up, guys. Xbox has betrayed us. Why are we even buying Xbox consoles? Xbox doesn't believe in a console anymore. Yada, yada, yada. Everybody was crying. Everybody was throwing a big fit. Everybody was making a big deal about it. Phil Spencer tweeted over on his X account, at XP3, quote, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week, where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." Connor, we've mentioned it before. We had an in-depth discussion about the possibility of Hi-Fi Rush, about Sea of Thieves coming to Xbox. Coming to PlayStation 5. We've had a conversation about Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush coming to PlayStation 5. We had a conversation about how that would probably be a healthy thing for Xbox overall. Get the smaller, cooler, new IP out on other platforms so people can play it and find out how amazing it is. And then the second one will come out probably on the next generation of consoles. It'll be bigger, it'll be better, it'll be badder, and people will have to buy the next generation of Xbox to get it, you know? Sea of Thieves is a... games of service free to play? Question mark.
I don't say it is.
I think it is.
But
at least through Game Pass, at least, which I know isn't free, but etc. That has been doing very well for many years at this point, and so it just makes sense to open the floodgates of that. Put it on PC, put it on PS5, put it on everything you can put it on, so that game can continue living and breathing and thriving, because it is a games of service game. So now, we turn our attention to Starfield. We turn our attention to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Both of which are reportedly, I guess, getting PlayStation 5 ports. Starfield, specifically, we have more details about it getting the port after their first big expansion that is going to launch on Xbox first. And then PlayStation 5 players will get Starfield, the base game. Gears of War, we don't know in what capacity that series will come to PlayStation, if it comes to PlayStation. There's also been conversations that Halo Master Chief Collection and maybe even Halo Infinite making its way over to PlayStation. Boy, if I could time travel 15 years in the past and tell my younger self that, he would not believe me. But here we are. Here's what all of these rumors and leaks and things are happening here. I am of so many minds on this choice, and I have so many different thoughts about it that I don't even know where to begin. So let me, I haven't talked to you about this at all. The internet is blowing up, crying about it. Everybody's calling Phil Spencer an asshole. Everybody's calling Xbox personalities in the game's commentary space liars and so on and so forth. First of all, if you're doing that, you should stop. You're an idiot. Point blank. But Connor, where are you at with this story? What are you thinking about it, and sort of where are your thoughts on it overall?
Well, my thoughts on it are tied up with the casting off of companies, Microsoft, PlayStation, Nintendo. It, as a general rule, is always a great thing when games aren't held up by the platforms. It should be as easy to play as many games as possible for everyone. And Xbox has always been more willing to do so. PlayStation's really been the one who's been problematic on this front. A good way to look at it is many games, pretty much actually any game that's on Xbox nowadays is also on PC. The same can't be said for PlayStation 5 and PC. With the ZeniMax acquiring and the acquiring of ZeniMax and the acquiring of Bethesda, of Activision Blizzard, it was kind of brought into question on whether those games are going to be available for PlayStation. And I remember at the time, Phil Spencer kind of seemed to say, we might. He kind of floated like it could go any way, but it smelled like he was just going to keep it on an Xbox because, of course, that was kind of general practice to keep the games that you own on your console, so all of the money's coming to you. But
they also made their deals with Nintendo, with PlayStation, with NVIDIA, and a bunch of other things of keeping Call of Duty multi-platform for at least the next 10 years. So
that was an exception.
Even though Xbox owns Call of Duty, they're putting it everywhere.
Yeah, it was more people were more worried about like Elder Scrolls as far as their acquisitions have gone, and this breaking news seems to indicate that they're willing to just cast that original idea off of just keeping it on an Xbox and making it for consoles in general. And overall, this makes tons of sense. As of right now, one of their big models is Game Pass, where you're able to pay a monthly subscription and have access to a wide variety of titles, some of which come out on day one, like, for example, the most recent Persona 3 Reload. And so while you have that system in play, a lot of people are going to play your Microsoft Xbox games through Game Pass because it saves you money. It's a good deal. But the issue is that it took away from raw game sales, which is, people kind of question on how that would look down the line, because Game Pass might be good in the short term, but long term, when people are just paying the subscription and you see a halting of subscriptions, well, you're going to see a pretty substantial drop in your earnings because people aren't buying your mainline games.
And you look at you just look outwardly when it comes to streaming services or anything that is Game Pass like. You look at what Spotify, Apple Music has done to the music industry. It's fucking ruined it. Netflix and Amazon Prime and HBO Max has had a dramatic, you could say, negative effect on film and TV.
And interesting you say that. I'm going to take it away from video games specifically for a second. It still relates to it. There's a famous YouTube series called Hot Ones, where people eat wings, and they're spicy, of course, and people are interviewed there. It kind of breaks down their barriers and whatnot.
You know what it is.
Yeah, you know what it is. This week, Matt Damon was on Hot Ones. I just saw a clip from it where he was effectively talking about DVD sales and how
that's old.
it's old, but the whole bit was that there was a time when DVD sales, when those would come out, would be a new wave of income that movies could gain. They didn't have to make it all back at the box office, but that was entirely screwed up with streaming services like Netflix because it kind of defeated the purpose of selling those things. Game Pass, I see, is kind of a similar situation. They're missing out on a lot of those raw game sales. And the way this ties back into PlayStation is if they were to start offering their Halos, their Gears of War to an entirely new market on an entirely different console, they can make more money. Because even though it's going to be on PlayStation and obviously they take their cut, it is at the core of it Microsoft games, whether it's Gears of War, Starfield, whatever. And they're going to see some of that income. Now, it's it's common knowledge that PlayStation has overwhelmingly outsold on the newest Xbox, and Sony just makes more money in general worldwide. And so, in light of those recent stories, which Phil Spencer, I believe, has commented on in the past, so obviously it's in his frame of his mind all the time. This seems like a way to circumvent that while also just bringing more games to players. And Phil Spencer, being a very social media based guy, he likes being the face of Xbox. This is a good way for him to extend that influence in a positive way by saying, hey, we're not going to be so anal about it being on our stuff. It's just going to be for you to play on whatever console you see fit. And so I think this is a brilliant idea to be able to tap into markets that aren't just on the consoles you own. Because back when I was in high school, the whole entire conversation of the console war was big. And people took took sides very harshly. You even still see it now, despite those barriers being broken down more. And that shows that they're still up to some degree. And this is also another way to just eradicate it entirely. There's no reason to be preventing people from playing Starfield if all they own is PlayStation. Because, why not? It's a game. People like playing games. There's no reason to hold it unless you're trying to be greedy
Because
and have
it
as much
doesn't
money
go
as possible.
both ways.
By what?
That's why. Because PlayStation doesn't do it. Nintendo
Yes, exactly,
doesn't
yeah.
do it. None of the other big three does it. So why does Xbox keep doing it? Why should I, as a consumer, spend $500 on a box to buy into the exclusives that you have promised me just to give the exclusives away to the other guy when I could have just bought into the other guy, waited a few years and gotten Starfield there, and still been able to play Spider-Man 2, and still been able to play Final Fantasy VII Remake, and still been able to play God of War Ragnarok. Instead, I went with you because you had Starfield. You're going to have Elder Scrolls. And now you have Call of Duty and Overwatch and all these other huge IP. So why did I invest my money in you when I could have done it to the other guy, could have gotten all the games in the world? Now, granted, I agree with you. Console wars stuff is stupid. Like, I don't subscribe to it. Play the game wherever you want to play it. I don't really care. I personally prefer playing my games on a PlayStation console. I grew up a PlayStation guy. PlayStation reigned dominant last generation, and and I don't like playing on PC. That's me. That's my choice, right? But I have very, very seriously been thinking about getting an Xbox console the last 6 months to a year, specifically when Starfield came out and it didn't run on my shitty gaming laptop. I've been seriously thinking about getting an Xbox, waiting for the mid-gen refresh that we got because of those Microsoft leaks that we saw. But now, why should I? Your biggest and best games keep coming to other platforms. Cuphead is on other platforms. Ori is on other platforms. Hollow Knight is on other platforms. Why would I go to you if you're just going to keep doing it now with your mainline IP? Hi-Fi Rush is coming over. Sea of Thieves is coming over. Starfield's coming over. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming over. Do you know how much of an easy lock that is, Xbox, to make people buy your box? Maybe not this generation, but when that mid-gen refresh comes up, I'm not buying a PS5 Pro. I wanted to buy an Xbox. But now I don't see the point.
The problem as of right now is, once again, all you need to do is look at the sales. Xbox performs, underperforms massively.
From a business perspective, it makes sense.
It does. And this whole entire, I get people being upset of, like, hey, I got miffed.
And I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, I know you are.
Yeah, my personal stance is put all the games everywhere.
And that's ultimately what matters more. I understand people who are like, I bought the Microsoft console to get Microsoft games. Why? I feel like it was a waste. I feel sorry for you, but ultimately,
they specifically chose to not get the PlayStation,
to
not get the Switch. They specifically chose Starfield, Indiana Jones, Hi-Fi Rush over Spider-Man, over Ghost of Tsushima, over Last of Us, over all of these great, phenomenal games. They chose, no, I don't want that. I want this.
Yeah, and it sucks for you. It's one of those situations where even though it might suck for you, it's better for gaming as a whole. So sorry, if you really feel strongly about it, as much as it might suck, you just got to take the L for the greater good. Sorry. But
why did they have to take the L when everybody else is getting a W?
Well, because once again, I'll draw back to their console shares. They did it obviously as they've always done it, releasing a console alongside PlayStation. It's been the way ever since the first Xbox and the first PlayStation.
When it's time for tech upgrades, everyone usually comes together and does it at the same time.
Exactly, and it's not working for you guys sales-wise. For Microsoft, you've tried with your exclusive games, with your Game Pass. And even still, you're being blown out of the water by PlayStation.
Now, undoubtedly, this is definitely setting groundwork to put Game Pass on PlayStation.
Yeah. It's just that's the second step. You want to see how this first one does.
Yeah.
Which, you would think would work because you're just bringing their games onto a whole other market. They're just going to make you get more money.
Yeah.
And if PlayStation's open for it, big if, because PlayStation are the ones that, if you anything, should be upset about. give credit to Microsoft for being the first to reach across the aisle and say, okay, we're just going to drop all the barriers and just go for it. If anyone, be upset at PlayStation, who have been stubborn to do anything with Microsoft because they themselves are caught up in the culture war.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But now PlayStation also has the hubris to go, you're going to buy our console.
Yeah. I mean, hey, they were winning already without having to do anything.
It is not an uncommon thing to say, I play games on PC, I play games on Xbox, but I buy the PlayStation for their exclusives. It's not an uncommon thing to say. It's why you have a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It's for the PlayStation 5 exclusive games.
I got my
because
PC.
you know they're the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
You know? But for those who are not blessed enough to have more than one option at a time, they go, I loved Skyrim. Skyrim was one of my favorite games. You know, I got to go Xbox because that's where Starfield is going to be. That's where Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be. You know, so now I've made that investment and I feel cheated because I could have gone the other way and played way more games, had way more access. I loved Spider-Man 2018. I loved it. You know, maybe I had a PlayStation 4, but then I switched sides.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that happened. I don't know what the percentage of that is. Probably not very high, but surely somebody did it, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, 2 weeks ago, I would have said, you're probably at this rate better off buying an Xbox at this point. You know? Game Pass, hundreds of games, $10 a month. Fucking awesome. They've got great exclusives lined up for the entire year. This looks like to be a great software launch year for Xbox, something they have not had in years.
Yeah. And
and now Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming to PlayStation 5. 9-10 months before it releases on Xbox, you telling us this? Now Halo, which is the crown jewel of Xbox, is coming to PlayStation. Now Gears of War, which has always been a great co-op shooter for a lot of people, is coming to PlayStation. Why are you selling your identity away? Now, again, I'm with you. Blame PlayStation for this. PlayStation, there's no reason that you're not putting your games everywhere a year after release. I understand they're experimenting with PC stuff. Death Stranding is on fucking mobile phones, you know? What else is on PC? The Horizon games, God of War, Spider-Man, all of these games are coming to PC eventually. But it's had, you know, mixed success, right? Like, you haven't really heard about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart selling crazy well on PC, right? You've heard terrible stories about how The Last of Us Part 1 was a train wreck of a port to PC, right? But there have been many successes. And some ones where you go, oh, maybe that didn't work out so well. Uncharted 4, I don't think did anything on PC when it went to PC. But God of War did. But Spider-Man did. Those did numbers. So, hey, Sony, you make games for gamepad. Why are you focusing on putting it all on PC? Just put it on an Xbox. I'm with that. That is my perspective. Now, if you want to do a year of exclusivity, fine. Play it first here, a full year in advance. Yeah, most of your sales are going to be in the first 3 months. So, yeah, that makes sense. But there's no reason why we can't get a little, I don't know, 30% boost in a year or two when those games do come to Xbox. Guess what, man? If these rumors are true and Halo comes to PlayStation 5, I'm fucking playing Halo on PlayStation 5 from here until the end of time. Because that's my preferred console. It's where I like to play my video games. And I would love to get... I'm a trophy guy. I would love to get platinum trophies for each and every Halo game. It would be so fucking dope.
And I'll tie this into a question that was put by Einkun, Mr. Einkun, in the chat. Of should I be canceling my PSN? Because
no, clearly you should not.
That's the thing, and it kind of sucks because my initial reaction is to say yes, you should cancel it. I say that because PSN has increased their rates, and now this just serves as a good justification to just keep on doing that or to stick with it. Now that Xbox games, which arguably have a better online landscape than I would say PlayStation games are, at least from my perspective, especially if Halo gets included and Gears of War.
People play Siege on Xbox. People play Call of Duty on Xbox. Yeah,
PC as well.
Yeah,
you know, should you cancel it? I think you should if you have like a PC, but if you don't, if you're just like a PlayStation gamer, you probably and you play online games.
I mean, granted, Connor, have you full out canceled your PlayStation Plus?
No, I keep forgetting.
Exactly.
But it's because I'm stupid, not because I'm actually making an active choice.
What was that? Run that back one more time. What'd you say?
It's because I'm stupid.
You're goddamn right you are. No, but now I have to sit here and wonder, yo, what is going on over at Xbox? All of these are leaks. Gears of War came from Jeff Grubb. Starfield and Indiana Jones came from Xbox era. What? And you're also peppering them out through the week.
I mean, information gets leaked, and then you have Phil Spencer's tweet of saying,
why is it happening on different days from different sources?
Well, if there's so many titles that are possibly going to come into PlayStation, you might not know it from the get-go.
But usually when these things happen, it all happens.
Usually it happens.
It's not over the course of a week where it happens.
But how often do you have this many games completely change from console to new console?
But also, how many leaks has Xbox had in the last year? And maybe they're sick of it. Maybe all this is a bunch of malarkey.
It could be.
Maybe it's them trying to flush out who these leaks are going to. And they're saying, hey, let's tell this team that maybe this game is coming to Xbox. Let's tell these guys that this other game is coming to Xbox. And let's see where those things lie. Let's see where those things end up.
I feel like for a business move, especially Xbox and Phil Spencer, who have been pretty good at it, that would be dumb.
Have they?
Yeah.
And that's my thing, is how good is Xbox at their business right now? Because Phil Spencer's out here tweeting, we're listening and we hear you. How many times have we heard Phil Spencer say that in the last 2 years? A lot. Way more than you should, right? So now we have to sit here and go, hey, man, why are you only reactive? Why are you not actively chasing things? Why are you never ahead of your own PR?
Well, admittedly, any single time they tried to, whether it's in the form of games or their features like Game Pass, they're still always behind. Nothing they do in that regard works out. It's like PlayStation has gone to the top of the hill, and that's where they're staying. I see people re-examining the original reveal of the PS4 and the Xbox One and how bad Xbox handled it. And that seems to be kind of the beginning of their loss in the game console market.
Oh, yeah.
And I think when you on the
they were a heavy-duty
side,
competitor in the 360 PS3 generation. They were a
arguably on top.
competitor. For a while.
Yeah.
For a while. I think overall PlayStation has won every generation that they've been a part of.
Yeah, I don't think
but, I mean, the only argument you could say is the Nintendo Switch. You know?
And Xbox 360.
Yeah. But now I'm seeing people online saying, hey, these decisions are just as bad as that. This is Xbox TV all over again.
This is not as bad as that.
This is not as bad.
Not even that. It's not even. It's even arguable about whether it's bad or not, much less as bad.
If you have if you're using an educated perspective and seeing all sides of this conversation, yes. And also, if Phil Spencer believes that Xbox has lost the console war, whatever that is, then why would he care about a box? So now I ask you, Connor, does Xbox care about selling a console?
I mean, they always could, but at the same time, they have the PC market. Microsoft Windows is the standard for PC gaming, and that's way better than Xbox's gaming.
There's no PC hardware developer that is also a publisher of video games. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Xbox is a publisher of video games, and so they care about selling the games alongside their box. But my question is, do they still care about the box?
But the box isn't selling as much as PlayStation is.
But somebody just spent $500 on your box. Somebody did that.
Yeah.
They chose you. And it's fucked up to then go, you didn't have to.
Well, people vote with their dollars, and the voting shows that the winner is PlayStation. So ultimately, as much as you might want to try and be dedicated to that fan base, that group that elevated your console to where it is, it wasn't enough in the grand scheme of things. And this seems to be a much smarter move to balance that all out while still being able to make money. Because what matters is two things: whether the company can stay afloat and whether the art they can create is good. All of these conversations we're having on bringing over to PlayStation, the art isn't impacted. I think that's just ultimately dependent on the developers themselves and how they make the exact games.
Is it?
I don't think so. No.
I mean, we've always said exclusives are peak, right?
But
because they're able to develop these games. Because at the end of the day, it's technology we're talking about. It's not just talent and skill. It's also the technology is a factor in this conversation. We've always talked about how PlayStation has just the best running, best looking, best playing games. Mm-hmm. You know, like PlayStation has the cream of the crop games, like when you talk one by one. Now, most of them are third-person action adventure narrative-based games, and that may not be your cup of tea. You may only like your first-person shooters, in which case PlayStation doesn't hold much water for you. But everybody likes Spider-Man. And I guarantee you, everybody who bought an Xbox would love to be playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be able to because they made a choice to go with Starfield. But the PlayStation guys didn't have to make that choice.
No.
That's kind of fucked up.
It is. But, I mean, you talk about...
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, I know.
This is just the way of the world. Hey, we live in a capitalistic society. This is why capitalism sucks. You fucking idiots who are out here like, oh, you communistic libtard. Da, da, da. Hey, moron, this is why you lose.
I was just going to say that you can buy Xbox games on PC, so their console is null and void in my eyes. I mean, PC does way more. And what's the point in having an Xbox?
It doesn't do way more.
It does exceptionally more.
It doesn't do
It literally is better in every way, shape, and form than the new Xbox and plays the same games.
I mean, you say that, Connor. We tried to play Tekken 8 the other night, and you couldn't even get your fucking controller to work.
Did we play it?
We did.
And then what I did...
But how much troubleshooting did you have to do, Connor?
That was my fight stick, not the game itself. And then later that night, we watched anime on my PC, like that.
You can watch anime on the PlayStation.
Also YouTube. I mean, like, you access it way easier than going through I'm going to press the Xbox button, and then I'm going to go over to the YouTube app and then load the YouTube app.
It's not that much different.
It is substantially different when I just move the mouse over, middle click, oh, there's the tab open. Thanks, Internet. You came up right away, and I can watch anything I want on a keyboard instead of doing the controller, which is ineffective comparatively.
Just plug a keyboard in.
You're just making it more complicated when you can just have it on the PC already there because it's a PC.
I mean, my problem has never been the keyboard mouse. I make fun of the keyboard mouse, but my problem has never been the keyboard mouse.
No, it's not. No. But it's one of the benefits.
There are genres where undeniably games play better with a keyboard and mouse.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. Exactly. My problem is the machinery. Why do I need an update all the fucking time?
Because I can.
And why is it an update that's not involved in the game? It's a fucking. I gotta go fucking upgrade a driver and fucking do all this other bullshit. Anyways.
And meanwhile, you can watch porn easily. So there you go. Win.
Connor, is this a good move for Xbox?
Yeah, I think it's a great move. I think any issues you're going to have with PR are just going to be something you need to brace and deal with from the initial brunt, and then afterwards you're really going to see the money roll in, which once again, as a company like Microsoft, is just good for you.